Hello and welcome to the People Chronicles Storied Women. My name is Anna Rosengara Milch and I am your host, and I am also the author of Lunch with Lucille. Now, Lunch with Lucille is a story of how one woman's life impacted another, how a woman took her adversity that was going on in her life and she turned it around and made it an advantage. So what we do here at People Chronicles Storied Women is we bring women from our community into the studio so that we can chat, so that we can learn from them, so that they can tell their story of how they took an adversity and made it into an advantage. So today, my very special guest is Michelle Dech. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Anna Rose. Thanks for having me here.
And Michelle is now the executive director of the LGBT community right here in Greater Reading area. Exciting, very exciting, and we very much appreciate.
Thank you.
Appreciate what you do. Now, there is a question that we ask everyone who sits in that chair. Don't worry about it. And that is, what is the takeaway? What do you want us to remember from the chats? We're only going to be chatting for about 10 minutes, but we need to know, what is it that we want to remember from this chat?
Well, I guess my message would be that everybody has a purpose and passion in life. Although that may sound a bit cliche, I really do believe that. And I'm also a believer that when you find that purpose and passion, don't let fear stop you from following that.
Yeah. I think that it's almost like a twofold thing. Is first of all is to be able to find that passion.
Exactly.
You know, and then the second thing is when you see it in front of you, or when it presents itself, is to have the courage to grasp it. So can you give us a little an example of how this has happened in your life?
Sure. About 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to begin volunteering in my community, which I hadn't been able to do prior to that just due to my work schedule and career of 28 years. So I found the LGBT Center of Greater Reading, was looking for volunteers, and quite honestly, I didn't even know we had a center at that point. I saw it in the newspaper that the day after I learned I had some free time to volunteer. And I went and signed up, and probably about the second day in of volunteering there, just spending time in the office, I quickly realized I had this aha moment that I found my purpose and my passion. And it was probably something that I believed since I was a child, actually, that I had this belief that there was something that I was supposed to do much bigger than me to make an impact collectively somewhere. And I found that through the LGBT Center.
So when you walked in, there was a kind of a calmness to it, or was it an upheaval? I mean,
it kind of both, actually. It was a little bit of both. It really just struck me sitting there and getting involved and throughout the days of volunteering, meeting different people and seeing the impact that a fairly brand new organization was having already on a community that was underserved to begin with was just incredible. So to be a part of that was just, it was fulfillment beyond belief right after.
So do you think that you could have, I don't know, I mean, this is just hypothetically, would you have had those same feelings maybe 10 years prior if you had walked into that building?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I know that I was certainly ready for it and open for it now, so maybe then I wouldn't have been. But I do believe that things happen for a reason, and about a year ago I was given an opportunity to take the center over as the executive director, and I was at a crossroads at that point of working for a company that I had been with for 28 years, and I built a career. And the thought of ever leaving that job, it really never even occurred to me. It was a really good job, and I had been there for so long, I knew it well, and but this opportunity presented itself, and it was pretty scary because, quite honestly, the organization at that time was 100% volunteer-led, which meant there was no salary at that time. So I was at a crossroads of really what to do and making a decision, and that was tough. That was fearful.
I think that really takes a lot of courage. I mean, because you're almost jumping off a cliff there.
I felt like that. It did, and at first it never even occurred to me that I had a choice. I just thought, I've been with this job for this long, and I don't have I have to stay. There's nothing else I can do, which means I have to actually leave the position of executive director and walk away from the LGBT center. I wouldn't have had the time to stay there.
And to do both.
And to do both, because the job, I actually was given a promotion about a year ago, offered a promotion, which would require a lot more travel. So I knew I wouldn't be able to do both anymore. So after talking with my wife and a bunch of friends and family circle, I had another aha moment, I guess, where it became very clear to me that I really didn't have a choice, but it wasn't to stay with my employer. It was actually to move in a totally different direction and jump off that cliff. Didn't know what it was going to look like or where it was going to take me, but I knew I couldn't let it go. I knew I had to follow it.
You could not do it.
Right.
Yeah, sure. But you made a good point, because sometimes when we follow our passion, it impacts the people that we love around us. You know, those people like your wife or, in my case, my husband. But so your passion is impactful to to your wife's passion. So what happens if they conflict? I mean, you're fortunate in the sense that it doesn't conflict, I think.
I am.
I think we both are, yeah. And so I think for some people who are watching this, they may not be able to follow their passion, or maybe because something holds them back, and that's, I think, where that courage you were talking about comes in.
That's very real, and I'm really very happy and proud to say that I was supported. I will tell you that when I first started volunteering and went home the second day and said, "Oh my gosh, I think I found my purpose," she looked at me and she said, "Oh, thank God," because not that anything was bad at all. Like I said, I was in a job that I liked, but I always felt like something was missing. Really always felt like something was missing, and she knew that, and she lived that. And so when the decision came to stay with the career that I had for so long or to leave, she was the first one who said to me, "Let's sit down, let's talk about this." And honestly, when I got the call that I was getting a promotion, I hung up the phone and I was miserable for like 2 weeks. I'll be honest. I was miserable.
You really felt uncomfortable?
I did. And this was a job that I knew and I loved. And so, but I was miserable because I knew, I actually was like defeated, because I felt like I just found my purpose. And now it was just, as quickly as I found it, boom, it was gone. So we sat down and she said, "Listen, I think you should consider this." And up to that point, I really hadn't even given it a thought. But she said, "You need to do this. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how we're going to do this, because we can't be a one-income family."
Sure,
so
yeah.
So she's been supportive all along and has helped at the center. And so far, it's been just incredible journey, everything that's happened in the last year.
That's wonderful. So so it strengthens the relationship. It's kind of moving forward together. I mean, it really is moving forward together. So how, what you're talking about, though, is truly stepping out of your comfort zone. I mean, but we know that in order to step out of our comfort zone, in order to learn anything or to explore anything, we have to step out of the comfort zone. So tell me, what would you advise others if they were thinking of stepping out of their comfort zone?
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I had this conversation a few times over the course of the last 48 hours, and I will tell you that there's not a day that I'm not out of my comfort zone at some point in what I'm doing. So it's been a challenge, but I think it's really important that people look at it as a challenge and look at it as a chance of growth for yourself. I found the courage to do so in myself, in my family and friends, and in the community around me. And that's probably been amazing. Most amazing thing for me is that the community at large has just been overwhelmingly supportive of what I'm doing and that step and fear into the unknown. And so I would say you've got to do it. You got to try it. You don't let it pass you by.
Yeah.
Life is short.
Yes, it is.
Life is short, and it's important. It's important we do our heart.
We can
Sorry.
edit that out.
Yeah,
yeah, I agree with you. I think it is that we follow our heart, because for so many years we're following our head, and we're doing what we have to do. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know. I mean, we have to make a living. We have to take care of family. We have to do this. We have to do that. We have to go to school. We have to. And then it comes to a point in time where we recognize, at least in my life as well, is that there's more to it, you know. I mean, there's more to it. But sometimes, excuse me, that, you know, the more to it, there is a risk to it. You know, you took, and admirably, you took that risk. You know, that leaving corporate America to go into the nonprofit.
Exactly.
Big difference. And a nonprofit that was just in its infancy.
Correct.
Right. So you're rebuilding the organization at this point. You're starting just about from the ground up. Yeah?
Absolutely, yes.
Wonderful.
The growth has been remarkable. We're seeing anywhere between 200 and 300% growth in everything that we're doing. Support
wonderful.
groups and events and services programs. So
wonderful.
It's been great.
So when you're talking about stepping out of your comfort zone, you're not only talking about stepping out of your comfort zone to do something that you never did before, like being the executive director, but it's also now stepping out of your comfort zone to get extremely creative and to really looking at needs and to assess the needs of the community and then how to fill those needs.
Absolutely.
So it's, like you say, it's every day, constantly stepping into a different level.
It is, and it's exciting. It's very fearful every day, but the reward has just been, as I said, it's incredible. So it's a learning experience, and I've learned so much over the course of the last year. And probably the biggest lesson I would say would be, go for it. You've got to go for it. Good. If you find that, you've got to go for it. I've been blessed that I found it. So. I'm going. I'm all in. So it's heart and soul now.
It is. Yeah. That's wonderful. That's really wonderful. Well, I thank you for coming on the show today, Michelle.
Thank you for having me, Anna Rose.
So remember, like Michelle says, find your passion. When you find it, go for it. Step out of your comfort zone. We all have to remember that. It's okay. It's okay. Surround yourself with good people, and it will be okay. Thanks again, Michelle.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.